Okay, so test scenarios are high level functionality. Okay, and test cases, right, or low level function. Okay, so high level functionality means or business logic, right, or business logic, or you can tell objective of the application. That's called as test scenarios. Okay, test case is low level functionality, or right, a set of conditions derived from scenario. Okay. So this is called as your test case, right? On the day we saw about a Gmail ID, right? Gmail application we saw, right? Like for example, right? Valid login. That is one scenario, right? Then invalid login is another scenario, right? This all these things are scenarios of your Gmail application. So Gmail application scenarios valid login, invalid login, right? Then forgot password is one scenario. Okay, and new user registration, right? New user registration is one scenario. Okay, and storing the details of new user, right? That is one scenario. So all these things you can tell as your scenarios, right? Then if you ask me what is the test cases of your Gmail application, okay? So right, same thing, right? From valid, what are things we can generate, right? Valid username, valid password, right? Then checking username with alphabets, right? Alphabets, right? Then you check with right alphanumeric, right? Yeah, you check right case sensitive or not, right? Trying with at gmail.com and without gmail.com, right? So trying the username, right? Without that. Okay. Then length of the username, right? You can check the boundary value analysis, right? And so all this is right. You can either if you take Gmail application, right, you can try with lot of right different test cases. So all these things are called as your test cases of your username, right? Then you take invalid login. This one without Gmail will not come in here negative, positive. This will come in here negative, not with your invalid. Right? Invalid username and invalid password. Right? And right valid password. Valid username, right, and right invalid password. Like that, you can try with different combinations. So all these things will be your test case, right? Then you write username empty, right? Password empty without leaving it blank, right? Right? Both blank, right? Like that, you can try with different conditions, right? So all these things are your test cases, right? For example, you have length, right? Length it should accept 6 to 8 characters. So you can write that boundary condition, right? Hope you're aware of boundary value, right? So that you should take, right? So like that, all these things will be your test case. Okay. Like that, still you think, right? So without right, giving typing only username, right? Without right at gmail.com, trying with different domains, right? And the password should be case sensitive, right? Trying with uppercase, lowercase, so like that you can try right with different combinations, right? So all these things will be your example of your right your test cases. So like that, you can take any application and you can automate, right? For example, you can take the Facebook application, right, which you all know, right? By this in this application, you can write one minute. You can hear me? Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, see, you can see in this Facebook application, right? You can find the scenarios, right? Add account is one scenario. The
Yeah.
login is one scenario. Forgot account is one scenario. Then create an account, right? That is one scenario, right? And so all these things are scenarios. Then you go and click test cases, whether it's active or not, whether it's enabled or not. If I click it, it's opening this window or not. So all these things are your test case, right? Then entering username, entering password, clicking submit button, valid username, invalid username, valid password, invalid password. By trying with different conditions, that is called as your test case, right? For example, same thing you can check in drop down, right? By if you check in drop down, by it should start with the day, and it should be in ascending order. Only one should be started. And see, this is highlighted, right? This when I move it, it's highlighted. Whether I can scroll up and down or not. So all these things are your test cases, right? And it should have only 1 to 31 characters. It should not have more than 31. Okay. And suppose, right, there is a leap year, right? You are trying February. And in February, if you go, it should have only 28 characters. Like that, right? You can try with different combinations. I'm just telling for in this application, it's not like that, but in some application, it filters. If you take February, it will filter, right? So then you check your year, right? All your years, it should be in descending order, right? All these things, right? By default, it should have select all these things, right? That you can check in your drop down, right? So that is what you can do. Then you can try in radio button. Only one select default, some application default something will be selected. To check default is selected or not. And two at a time you should not select. Okay. So and three at a time you should not select. Right. Like that, whether you can change or not. Okay. Like that, you can write different test cases in your application. Right. So normally this is the procedure, right? This is how you should find your test case. Like that's why I'm telling you go to this orange HRM site. Okay. You go to this orange HRM site, you identify in this login page what are the scenarios are there, what are the test cases are like there, like that you try to find it, right? Then you go and click here, okay, and go to any application, you click assign leave, right? In this you can try what are the scenarios will come, what are the test cases will come, like selecting a calendar, selecting only one date, checking the drop down, okay. Then it should be in DDMMY format, and it should not right accept the future date. Yes, a future date it accept. It should not accept the past date, right? For your assigning a leave, right? So format you can check, and right, past date, present date, future date you can check, right? Then you can check with the right. Then the year you can write month, date. It should be whether in the DDMMY format, what format, like that you can check with the different conditions, and you can check whether it is select or not. See, by default it should be select. You can check whether by default it's select or not. Like that you can try with your different applications, right? You take at least like 2 3 pages, and try to write test cases from this orange HRM demo. You will identify, you can write, you can learn. See, there are a lot of boxes here, right? A lot of pages are there. So a lot of fields are there here. You can go and try with different combinations in this particular application, right? You can go and try with a different combinations here. Okay. And next one, right? What is the next one I want to tell, right? This is sample template which we had, right? This is a sample template which we have. Okay. So this we are doing in our corporate trainings. Okay. So this is an RTM sheet. Okay. This is an RTM sheet which has serial number, requirement ID, requirement description, scenario ID, test case ID, and defect ID. Okay, so this is an RTM sheet. What is the meaning of RTM? RTM means requirement traceability matrix. Traceability matrix. Okay. So what is the purpose of this RTM? Why RTM? Requirement coverage. We can able to trace the requirements. We can able to trace the requirements, right? That is the purpose of this RTM sheet. Okay. 1 minute. There is a noise coming. I'll check it. Okay, so we are able to trace the requirements. That is the one thing. Okay, how much testing has been done? How much testing has been done? How much passed? And how much failed? Right? We can able to track the requirements with the help of your RTM. Okay, so in start of a project, they will right create this RTM sheet. Okay, and add a requirement description. That. And during each phase, that sheet will be updated. That sheet will be updated according to the work done. Okay, so that is the purpose of RTM. We can able to track the requirements, how much is passed and how much is paid, right? We can able to see the percentage coverage, right? How much is requirement has been coverage, right? So you can check. In interview, they'll ask one question, one standard question, right? How will you make sure the requirement is met? For that, the answer is RTM. Okay, how will you make sure that requirement, right? Client requirement is met? For that, the answer is RTM. RTM means requirement traceability matrix. So there is the purpose why we create this RTM. Okay, so we have this template, right? I have one template which we use in one of our MLCs which I use to train. Okay, so first will be serial number. Next will be requirement ID. This is a basic one, not an all right, basic RTM sheet. Okay, requirement description, scenario ID, and test case ID, and defect ID, which is mapped, which is found to that particular defect. this we have one sheet called as RTM. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll give the requirement ID from the test as a requirement document, and we'll post the requirements, whatever the requirements which we have in the requirement document. According to that, which test for that requirement, what scenario ID is coming, we'll give that. A particular scenario will have lot of IDs, right? So for that scenario, what is the ID is coming, whether any defect is found for that particular ID or not. So we'll write the defect ID there. So we'll write the scenario ID for that particular requirement, and we'll write the test case ID and the defect ID also. So this is what we do in our RTMC. Guys, you have any questions? Hello? Hello? You have any questions?
Yes, sir.
You have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, you told according with this RTM we will trace.
Yeah.
When we will, after writing test cases, then only we will do RTM.
No, 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 no. What happens is, software testing lifecycle phase, right? In your software testing lifecycle phase, you have requirement analysis and RG, right? Then your test plan, okay. Then your test design and closure. This is what is a phase, right?
Yes.
So in this phase, here itself you'll start preparing RTM. You'll prepare it. Okay, you prepare the template and keep it. You prepare the template and keep it. Okay. For example, in test design, you are writing scenarios, right? That will be updated in RTM. Then you write test cases, right? That will be prepared. That will be updated in RTM. Okay. Then you'll write test data. If it is needed, it will be updated, but mostly it won't be needed. Then in your execution phase, you are going to execute the test case. Whether it's passed or not, that you will update in your RTM. Whether the test cases is passed or failed, that will be updated in the RTM. So, and then you write final result, right? That will be also updated. So RTM plays in each phase, right? It will be, it is going to phase, right? First they will add requirement ID, then the requirement addition. This will be in the requirement phase, right? This will be in the test development phase. This phase is called as a development phase. Test design, you can call it as a test case development phase, right? In that you will add this one scenario, and after that, after preparing test cases, you add this test case ID. Then in your execution phase, you add this defect ID after comparing expected result and actual result. This is a flow here. You understand?
Yes, sir. You said in that test case ID means which one test case that according to that test case number we have to write that ID.
See,
And
see 1 minute, right? We have written some ID here. This is called test case ID, right? This ID, see, you first what you do is you'll write the scenarios here, okay? As I told you, senior persons will be writing the scenarios and they'll give to it. By seeing this scenario, you are going to write test cases. Suppose you are a manual tester, right? So you'll be writing this test cases by seeing this scenario document, right? So what they'll do is after writing scenarios, those ID will be mapped to the particular requirement what you wrote. They'll be giving this ID. After writing test cases, you'll write test cases from seeing the scenarios, right? So what scenario which is mapped, that will be updated in this test case ID.
okay. And how about defect ID?
Defect ID you'll do in execution phase, right? Suppose you found a bug, you are going to report that bug. So you are going to give an ID, right? This ID will be mapped here, right?
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the RTM, right? And next one is right scenarios. As I told you, high level functionality, right? First, this is a sample, but different companies follow different templates and standards. But this is one of a company, MNC company, which we follow in our academy. Okay, in our training, we follow this one. So you can use it, right? First one is scenario ID, next one is scenario name, next one is scenario description and reference document. The SRS is a software requirement specification. You give the SRS requirement document, you give that, and the requirement ID to the corresponding scenario you give here. Okay, so this is the logic, right? So this is how you standard template looks. As I told you, valid search, invalid search, filter destination, mandatory details. There will be some small mistakes, but I ignore it. But try to understand overall picture, right? There might be some spelling mistakes, some small mistakes might be there. Okay, but ignore it and try to understand the overall right picture, right? So you have valid scenario, invalid scenario, filter destination. I'll give you one requirement, right? I have a lot of requirements with me. 1 minute, right? I'll show you. 1 minute. I'll stop sharing and I'll do that. 1 minute, right? Since it's on record, I'll stop sharing. See, normally how we write scenarios and test cases, right? We'll be giving this kind of a screen. Like I'll take a screenshot of a make my trip. Okay, so I'll give a requirement of make my trip, and I'll give to the participants by seeing this make my trip. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, yes.
Okay, by seeing this make my trip, you should write scenarios, test cases, and your bug report. So this is what you should do. Okay, you should write scenarios, test cases, and your bug report. Okay, so this is how you should write. Right, first you should identify scenarios from this particular application. Okay, then you should document it. See the how it's documented, right? To check whether application is accepting all valid details and navigating to the next page. Like that, you should form the sentence. Okay, so you should type like this one, right? I'll tell you, right? So you should frame the sentence like to check that or validate. You can use check or validate, that's fine. That application is accepting valid details and navigating to the next page. Okay, this is how you should frame the distance. If it is a negative test case, right, to check that application is not accepting, to change, right, you should give not accepting invalid details and not navigating to the next page and displays an error message. This is important. You guys got it, right? So this is how we should write the sentence, right? You should frame the sentence. Okay. So you check like that. You should identify what are the scenarios for this particular screen. Okay. Then you should write frame that. You should document that this lead level people will do this one. Okay. Like that, you'll write the test cases and you should write, right? Then the next one is test case, right? By seeing the scenarios, you should write the test case. See the template for this one. First is test case ID. Next one is test case description. Pre-requesting means what is needed for executing the test case. That is called as pre-requesting. Next one is steps to execute, expected result, actual result, pass and fail and defect ID. This should be there your test sample test case document, right? So this is how your different company follow different standards. So in a company, if you join any company or working in a company, they will give you a template that you should fill it. Okay. So by seeing this, you should identify what are the test cases which is coming for that scenario. That you should document one by one. See, we follow one standard here. So we give test data parameters, not test data actually, it's a parameter. It's given wrongly. Okay. There are some few mistakes. Okay, it's done by some participants. Okay, so test data parameters, right? Parameters. Okay, so parameters, right? Post request tree, and it's done right. For normally for select, we use start with select. For a drop down, we do with select. For any enter button, we'll type it as enter. If you notice, right? So all a drop down button, I think. This application as having all drop down, but normally, right, we write select country from the country drop down list. If it is an enter, right, suppose this one is an text box, we'll write here enter. Okay, valid city in the city field, like that. Sorry, like that will do. Same thing. Entered city should be displayed in the like that. It should be entered entered city should be displayed in the city drop down list. Okay, so entered. Next one is entered city is displayed. This is we do after execution, right? Entered city is displayed like so. You should compare expected result and actual result and give pass. If both is same, you give fail, right? So this is how we should learn. Do you have any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
You said up there the reference ID.
Yeah.
That reference ID, what will work about there in
Reference ID
RTM?
means it's a ID which is given near SRS document. Mostly it will be a requirement document ID. Reference ID mostly it will be a requirement document, SRS document ID, that is called as a reference ID.
So basically, reference ID which is used in the SRS document, that is with respect to particular modules, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, for they will if you have seen any SRS document, right? They have given some ID. Like for example, first module, right? Requirement one. One is a for first ID, right? In that you'll have sub requirements, right? 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. You'll have some reference ID. And if you take second module, right, it will start with 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So that they will have that ID there. That ID will be mapped here in your reference ID. You understood?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
understood. Yeah, like that it will be mapped. Okay. Next one, right? What is the next one? Any other questions? Someone was asking test data. I'll explain it shortly. 1 minute before leaving the meeting. We'll see what is test data. Don't worry. Any other questions you have? See how we are giving the click button, right? Click on book now button, and here this is wrong, right? Click now book. See if you see the drop down, right? One. Click book now button. Application should accept all valid, not data details. It's wrong here. There are some mistakes. It's done by some participants actually. Few mistakes will be there. Okay. The application should accept all valid details and navigate into the application. So always, right, in our company we follow this one. Right. For buttons we use, right. This is followed by different companies. We use square bracket. Okay. For giving a right at a field, right, we'll use square bracket. Right, for example, right, from field. Okay, the input you give in your angular bracket. The input normally we give in, and this depends upon the companies, right? So one company follow different standard, and other company follows different standard. We and give, right, enter. Okay, valid name in the name field. So we follow this standard here in our organization. You can follow a different select. Okay, city. Here no valid will come since it's a drop, right? In the city field, like that. Sorry. Okay, click, right? Submit button, like that. This is what we follow in our company, right? So this is how we do this, right? Click, right? Date, right? Calendar icon. Okay, like that. For the all the buttons and icons, we use this form. This is how we form the steps, right? There are two things: pre-requesty and post-requesty. And
Sir,
post.
what is this post requisite?
Pre means what is
Yep.
needed for executing a test case. Sorry.
Yes, I got that, but I didn't understood post requisite.
Post condition means what happens to the test case after execution.
Okay.
Pre-requested means what is needed for executing a test case.
Okay.
So that's called as your post request. So that is a difference, right? So this is what we have in this sheet, right? So we have pre-requesty. Pre-requesty means application should be opened in the browser. Next one is test data parameters means what are the parameters we have in application, like from to, right, departure, like adults, children, infants. What are the parameters we have that application that will be given in your test data parameters. And this one is a post condition. Application should navigate or not navigate. If it is a positive condition, it navigates to the next page. If it is an invalid condition, it throws an, it does not go to the next page and throws an error. So post condition means what should happen to the application after execution. That's called as pass condition. Got it, right? So like that, you will compare expected and actual and make it fail. This till this will be your 1 minute, right? See, till this phase, 1 minute. till design phase, right? One minute, not select. Till expected result, it will be in your design phase. Actual result pass and fail will be in your execution phase. I'll mention here. Okay. So till design, in design phase, you will write till expected result. Okay. Actual result pass and fail will be mentioned in your execution phase. So that is the difference. So yeah, next there is one thing called as test log, right? Test log means your execution results will be in test log. Okay. So till this one is called as a test case sheet. Till expected result is called as a test case 6. If we add actual result pass and fail, that becomes a test log. So that is the, so till expected it's called as test case. If you are logging your results, that becomes your log sheet. So that is the difference. So you'll send your log sheet to the customer. Hello guys, got it?
Yes.
Okay. So like that you will start writing your test cases. Like that you can write your test cases. Okay. So like that you can keep on writing a test cases. I'll give you a sample. I'll give you one. You take this orange HRM demo. You take any 2 pages and you can start writing your test cases. If you write and show me, I'll review it and I can tell you. I'll give you a template. If you want, I can give this template. Okay. So if you want, right, if you want hands-on practice, right, so you can go to this orange HRM, okay, and you take any 2-3 pages of your choice and you can write and let me know, right? You can write test cases for this, like you click add, okay. So you can add, right, any of your choice. You can take a leave or report anything of your choice, right? You can write test cases from this sheet and you can let me know. I'll review it and I'll help you. Next, there is one thing called as bug report. Okay, you have our ID, okay, serial number, defect ID, defect description, reproducible, steps to reproduce, severity, priority, reported by, reported date, defect status, and your remarks, right? So your bug description should be very, very clear, because why means you are sending a bug report, you are sending to the developer. If the developer is not able to read it or understand it, he is going to reject that bug. So your bug report should be very, very clear and very, very precise, right? And you can add one column screenshot also here. Okay, so you can add one column screenshot and you can take a screenshot and can paste and send to the particular person, developer. So it should be clear, right? On entering all valid details, on clicking the book now button, the application is not navigating to the next page and showing a pop-up error message. So it was expected application, okay, should accept the valid data, not data, it's details. There are some mistakes. It's done by some freshers. Okay. And navigate to the next page, and application actual result is not navigating, that's why it's a bug. So we give a build version, right? So this will be mentioned in release notes by seeing that what build version is that and the release, which release you are working, and you'll give the test data here, what data you inputted for finding that bug. Okay, that you will mention here, right? So you'll give the what data you inputted for finding that bug, and you'll give a suggestion to developer whether it's a reproducible, yes or no. So you give a suggestion whether it's reproducible, yes or no. You give a suggestion and how you found the bug. What are the steps? Same thing like your test cases, right? We gave some steps. Same like you have to give some steps. Okay, how you found the bug, right? So that we give a steps, we give a prerequisite, how we found a bug, and we classify the severity. In the next tutorial, I'll teach you how to, right? classify the severity, what is severity and priority, how to classify, I'll teach you next. Next one is who reported that, what date it reported, and what is the status of the bug. Bug lifecycle also I'll teach you in the next class. Okay, so like that you prepare a bug report and send to your corresponding team. They will check, and if it is valid, they'll fix it. Otherwise, they'll reject that bug. So your bug report should be very clear, simple, and that is the rule. Okay. And test case also, you should make sure you are covering both positive and negative test case. Okay, positive comma negative test case, both should be there. There is one rule, right? For every positive test case, there should be a negative test case. If you are writing a positive test case, there should be a negative test case. That is one of the rule, right? For example, right, valid login is a positive test case. Right, it's a positive test case. And invalid login is a negative test case, right? So for it's a rule, for every positive, there should be a negative test case. Okay, so all for you should think in your negative angle also. That is also very important. Okay, so this is how you form your bug report, right? Bug report you should do like that. This severity and priority maybe I'll teach you tomorrow. Okay, so this is how you should form the bug. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, next there is another sheet called as test data. Okay, test data, a sheet name called as test data. You can prepare that sheet also. Okay, so I'm just giving an example here. Okay, ID. Okay, and the test case. I am just giving a roughly. I'm not giving in a neat way. I'm just roughly I'm giving. Okay, so next test case ID. Okay, and you should give the all the column names of your right, your application, right? For example, right, from, okay, to, from place to place, to place, and from date, from date to date, right? So you should give all your columns there. Okay, and what data you are passing you should give, that is called as a test data. Okay, I'm just for a just for a sample I'm giving. For example, if it is TC01, test case ID is TC01. For that, what is a place, right? Chennai is a from place, right? To place is Mumbai. So what data you are going to pass, that will prepare, a particular team will prepare and they will give to you. For example, right, 2/6/2020, right, from date, right, and to date, right, 3/6/2020. Okay, so that you will pass here. Okay, thus you are going to, so like that you are going to pass all your so you, what you should do is you should go here. Okay, write all your test case ID. For that, what your data you are going to pass, from where you are going to see, you go study this test case document. For this, what is the data you are going to pass, that you should prepare here. By seeing the test case only, you are going to prepare the test data. After a test case is, the case is reviewed, finalized and approved, then only you are going to prepare. By seeing the test case only, you are going to pass it. Okay, got it? So this is the logic. Have any questions? Hello? Hello? Any questions? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello?
You said test data, only
Yeah.
we will take the positive data is test data,
No, madam. Like what you do is,
positive and negative.
no, first, right? See, I wrote here valid details. This is a positive data for test case, right? Next one is a negative test case. Okay, so here first test case is positive test case, next test case is a negative test case. For example, I'm leaving this Chennai place, I'm testing. Okay, this is a negative, right? Then I leave this blank.
Okay, okay.
Then I'll give,
Yes.
see, this is a negative test case, right? So by you will write some test case, positive and negative test case. By seeing that, you will write that. This is a negative, right?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So test data is prepared from your test case.
Okay.
What you
Okay.
have written, like next you'll write for mandatory fields. Mandatory fields, what you'll do, you leave empty and try. For that, what you'll do, for all you prepare blank, right? You give blank, right? For all you leave it empty and see. Suppose you are checking whether every field is a mandatory one. How you are going to check? You are going to write blank, right? For everything you fill blank and you try. So by seeing the test case, you are going to fill the sheet. You understood?
Yes.
Okay. So any other questions?
Means you everything are in SRS documents. Accordingly, we have to.
See, SRS document will have only your requirements. By seeing that, they will prepare scenarios.
Then how we will get those are negative or positive?
And you
With
should
that,
give, right?
we can't.
So testing team, it's a work of testing team to identify, they'll get a data from customer. There are types of data, right? Master data, it's data from customer, okay? So input data, right? Output data, right? And environmental data, it's there, okay? Like the different types of data. So a separate team will prepare this data, and you see in your company, you can't give your own data, your personal details, right? They'll form some data, that data only you should give. You can't give your own personal information there.
Okay.
Okay, then any other questions?
No.
Okay, so this is the hands-on, guys. Next, everything you should practice. See, this is you won't learn in a single day. Okay, okay. I'll give you one. I'll ask one question here. By observing this screen, can you identify what are the scenarios will come for the screen? See, it's by seeing more applications you learn what is test case and scenario.
Sir, I have one
Uh,
question. Like when we will start writing the test cases, like how the flow should go, like yeah, like from left to right or like zigzag type.
No, no, no. See, you should see the scenarios, right? So, like that, what they'll do is they'll split scenarios. Like first two persons, they are going to do the scenarios, two scenarios. Second two persons, they should do the scenario. So you won't be entering test cases for everything. I'm just saying for an example, right? So in this flow, you should go. What is this flow of your scenarios? In that you should go.
No, sir, like this happens in big MNCs, but what about the startup company wherein the resources are very less? They give up all the work to the individual testers, so he has to.
That case, right? You should go with the priority, right? What is important? What is high level? You go first, then you go for the low level.
Okay.
See, if you see
Somebody
this,
said,
huh?
yeah. Somebody said me like in this case, as we are observing the screen, make my trip. You have to start from here and you have to go to the right side. Then again, you have to come left. Again, go in
No, no,
zigzag way.
no,
You
no,
have
no.
to.
It's not like that. Okay. See, you should think what is high level. Which one is high level? That you
Okay.
cover. Then you go to the field level validation part.
Okay. Okay. I got it.
What is important? Then you go to the small test cases, right? For example,
Okay.
right? If I want to, if I'm a customer, I will be worried about more of functionality. I won't be worried about whether this having this two spelling mistake is there or not. I won't be worried, right? So which one is high, which is important, you go that, then you go to the small test cases. Yeah, but everything is needed, everything is important, but you give importance to the high level one.
Okay. Priority wise, we have to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
separate.
yeah. That will be That will be told by a lead. They will all discuss everything in the meeting, which should be covered, right? What
Yes.
order it should go. Everything will be spoken in that meeting.
Yes. Yes. Sir, I
Next
have
class will
one.
be
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jolly.
next
Sir.
class will be on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You can go.
Next class will be on priority and severity, so that I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
not much
I'll
worry
teach
about
the
it.
execution part next class.
Yeah. Then you are saying only this here one only URL is there. That's why we can execute and we can tell. But when it will be SRS documents means there will be how we will clarify that it is positive or
That's
negative.
why we
Whatever
saw
is there.
use case, right? We saw use cases. We saw, right? Use from use cases, you can identify scenarios. By stating the requirements, we can identify scenarios. Like we can identify, we can write from the requirements also.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, guys, right? Thank you, guys.
Sir,
We'll join next tomorrow. Okay.
sir, I have one question. You please share the templates, whatever you have discussed in the group, so that we will just go through the project of Orange and
Sure,
we
sure,
will try.
sure, sure, sure. Thank you, thank you. Okay, okay. Bye,
Okay, bro.
guys. Bye,
Yeah.
bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.